Hey, babe, and anybody else watching, and welcome back to A Life Together. Today, Job 17, 18, 19, and 20. The tensions are heating up. Yesterday, we heard Job's response to both Zophar and Eliphaz after hearing from Eliphaz himself. And today, we're going to be looking at more from Zophar and Bildad and Job, his interjections there. I said things are heating up because, the discourse gets pretty intense here. And remember, this is from his friends. These are people who sat with him for a long time. So just keep that in mind as some of these words are being exchanged. And I tend to read pretty quickly, sometimes to a fault, but listen in here to what's being said because, they're sharp words. But 17 through 20 is where we're going to find this. So, chapter 17. My spirit is broken. My days are cut short. The grave awaits me. Surely mockers surround me. My eyes must dwell on their hostility. Give me, O God, the pledge you demand. Who else will put up security for me? You have closed their minds to understanding. Therefore, you will not let them triumph. If a man denounces his friends for reward, the eyes of his children will fail. God has made me a byword to everyone, a man in whose face people spit. My eyes have grown dim with grief. My whole frame is but a shadow. Upright men are appalled at this. The innocent are aroused against the ungodly. Nevertheless, the righteous will hold to their ways, and those whose clean hands will grow stronger. But come on, all of you, try again. I will not find a wise man among you. My days have passed, my plans are shattered, and so the desires of my heart. These men turn night into day. In the face of darkness, they say, light is near. If the only home I hope for is the grave, if I spread out my bed in darkness, if I say to corruption, you are my father, and to the worm, my mother or my sister, where then is my hope? Who can see any hope for me? Will it go down to the gates of death? Will we descend together into the dust? Chapter 18. Then Bildad the Shuhite replied, when will you end these speeches? Be sensible, and we can talk. Why are we regarded as cattle and considered stupid in your sight? You who tear yourself to pieces in your anger, is the earth to be abandoned for your sake, or must the rocks be moved from their place? The lamp of the wicked is snuffed out, and the flame of his fire stops burning. The light in his tent becomes dark, and the lamp beside him goes out. The vigor of his step is weakened. His own schemes throw him down. His feet thrust him into a net, and he wanders into its mesh. A trap seizes him by the heel, a snare holds him fast, a noose is hidden for him on the ground, a trap lies in his path. Terrors startle him on every side, and his dog is every step. Calamity is hungry for him, disaster is ready for him when he falls. It eats away the parts of his skin, death's firstborn devours his limbs. He is torn from the security of his tent and marches off to the king of terrors. Fire resides in his tent. Burning sulfur is scattered over his dwelling. His roots dry up below, and his branches wither above. The memory of him perishes from the earth. He has no name in the land. He is driven from light into darkness and is banished from the world. He has no offspring or descendants among his people, no survivor where he once lived. Men of the West are appalled at his fate. Men of the East are seized with horror. Surely such is the dwelling of an evil man. Such is the place of one who knows not God. Chapter 19. Then Job replied, how long will you torment me and crush me with words? 10 times now you have reproached me. Shamelessly you attack me. If it is true that I have gone astray, my error remains my concern alone. If indeed you would exalt yourselves above me, and use my humiliation against me, then know that God has wronged me and drawn his net around me. Though I cry, I've been wronged, I get no response. Though I call for help, there is no justice. He has blocked my way, so I cannot pass. He has shrouded my paths in darkness. He has stripped me of my honor and removed the crown from my head. He tears me down on every side till I am gone. He uproots my hope like a tree. His anger burns against me, and he counts me among his enemies. His troops advance in force. They build a siege ramp against me and encamp around me. He has alienated my brothers from me. My acquaintances are completely estranged from me. My kinsmen have gone away. My friends have forgotten me. My guests and my maidservants count me a stranger. They look upon me as an alien. I summon my servant, but he does not answer, though I beg him with my own mouth. My breath is offensive to my wife. I am loathsome to my own brothers. Even the little boys scorn me. When I appear, they ridicule me. All my intimate friends detest me. Those I love have turned against me. I'm nothing but skin and bones. I have escaped with only the skin of my teeth. Have pity on me, my friends. Have pity, for the hand of God has struck me. Why do you pursue me as God does? Will you never get enough of my flesh? Oh, that my words were recorded, that they were written on a scroll, that they were inscribed with an iron tool on lead, or engraved in rock forever. I know that my Redeemer lives, and that in the end he will stand upon the earth. And after my skin has been destroyed, yet in my flesh I will see God. I myself will see him with my own eyes, I and not another. How my heart yearns within me. If you say, how will we hound him, since the root of trouble lies in him? You should fear the sword yourselves, for wrath will bring punishment by the sword, and then you will know that there is judgment. Chapter 20. Then Zophar, the Naamathite, replied, My troubled thoughts prompt me to answer, because I am greatly disturbed. I hear a rebuke that dishonors me, and my understanding inspires me to reply. Surely you know how it has been from of old, ever since man was placed on the earth, that the mirth of the wicked is brief, the joy of the godless lasts for but a moment. Though his pride reaches to the heavens and his head touches the clouds, he will perish forever, like his own dung. Like those who see him will say, Where is he? Like a dream he flies away, no more to be found. Banished like a vision of the night, the eye that saw him will not see him again. His place will look on him no more. His children must make amends to the poor. His own hands will give back his wealth. The youthful vigor that fills his bones will lie with him in the dust. Though evil is sweet to his mouth, and he hides it under his tongue, though he cannot bear to let it go and keeps it in his mouth, yet his food will turn sour in his stomach. It will become the venom of serpents within him. He will spit out the riches he swallowed. God will make his stomach vomit them up. He will suck the poison of serpents. The fangs of an adder will kill him. He will not enjoy the streams, the rivers flowing with honey and cream. What he toiled for, he must give back, uneaten, for he will not enjoy the profit from his trading. For he has oppressed the poor and left them destitute. He has seized houses he did not build. Surely he will have no respite from his craving. He cannot save himself by his treasure. Nothing is left for him to devour. His property will not endure. In the midst of his plenty, distress will overtake him. The full force of misery will come upon him. When he has filled his belly, God will vent his burning anger against him and rain down his blows upon him. Though he flees from an iron weapon, a bronze-tipped arrow pierces him. He pulls it out of his back, the gleaming point out of his liver. Terrors will come over him. Total darkness lies in wait for his treasures. A fire unfanned will consume him and devour what is left in his tent. The heavens will expose his guilt. The earth will rise up against him. A flood will carry off his house, rushing waters on the day of God's wrath. Such is the fate God allots the wicked, the heritage appointed for them by God. Again, it gets so incredibly intense right there. There's a note that I thought was interesting because this back and forth and this escalation, again, these are friends, and I don't think you sit with someone for a week, I don't think, without being a really, really dear friend. And yet, this is escalating more and more and more. This note is regarding chapter 18, verse 13. Chapter 18:13 says, It eats away parts of his skin. Death's firstborn devours his limbs. And that was Bildad talking. The note says, after Job lashed out at his friends, see 17:10-12. So it starts much earlier, but this cutting remark is from Job 17:10-12. But come on, all of you, try again. I will not find a wise man among you. My days have passed, my plans are shattered, and so are the desires of my heart. These men turn night into day. In the face of darkness, they say, light is near. I mean, that's pretty cutting as well. So Job has, he's reaching some of the end of his patience here, and I think all of them are as well. Again, this goes on to say, Bildad retorted in kind, followed by Zophar in chapter 20. These two speeches, among the nastiest in the book, show the danger of bitter argument about anything, including theology. Friends who were overwhelmed with compassion when they first visited Job are now seen cruelly heaping more grief upon him just to defend their faulty theological point. And again, I think that's something that I really liked that note when I was reading that earlier, because I was like, good grief, that's something that I pride myself on, is really trying to bide my tongue in disagreements until it gets to a point and then I'm just kind of all bets are off. And yet, I think it's so important for us to recognize that in those moments of disagreement, when we are pushed to our end, that's especially when we need to be relying on the patience of Christ, especially in those disagreements. If these are dear friends, then even though he's being rebuffed, I think that's something that, yeah, Job needs to navigate better. And absolutely, Bildad, Zophar, and Eliphaz need to be navigating better as well. I'm not going to pretend that any of that is easy. Seeing your friend go through something so terrible and be so positive and stubborn that he is right from their perspective, right? And then same thing with Job, seeing your friends having no idea the horrible, horrible things that he's experienced on one day that changed the entire course of his life. And yet among it all, it's a great reminder for us to be more Christ-like in our discourses, which probably aren't going to be as intense, thankfully, but it's worth praying about. So let's do it. God, we just thank you for the friendships that we have in our lives. We thank you for comforting words, and we thank you for the wisdom in knowing that you are with us. That doesn't mean hardship won't befall us, Lord, but we know that you are with us. Lord, help us to extend grace to one another as we see our friends going through difficult times, or as we get into disagreements with our friends, or even those who are not our dear friends, Lord. Help us to have grace for those people and point them back to you, Lord. But help us to do that in love, with a gentle heart and a gentle spirit, Lord. Help us to never waver in what we say. Help us to be consistent and strong and theologically sound, Lord. But let it come from a place of love. Please, God, give us the wisdom to be able to navigate those conversations in love, with the wisdom of serpents, but so incredibly gentle like doves, Lord. Once again, we thank you so much for this book and for the wisdom in it. And we thank you infinitely more for your Son, Jesus Christ. And it's in his name we pray. Amen. Well, that is about all I have for you today. As always, know that I appreciate you. Wife, appreciate you tons. I will plan on seeing you tomorrow. Have a good one.